All right, everyone. Well, we had some action again today here, Friday after the holiday yesterday. Expectations were set pretty low, and I decided to trade with smaller share size today because I just felt like, this is the type of day where if I got too aggressive, I could end up making a big mistake. But we ended up having a stock that went up 145%. And that's the one that's my biggest winner. Now, I traded maybe 6, 7 stocks today. We'll go over, of course, as we recap everything. Green on all except for 2. The 2 I'm red on, though, one of the things I found really frustrating was that on one of the stocks, I had a number of small base hits, small winner, small winner, small winner, and then one big loss. Gave back everything I had made in the previous 5 or 6 winners. And that was disappointing. And that felt... it feels defeating when you have like 6 base hits and then give it all back in 1 loss. And it highlights the fact that on that particular stock, it was hard to get a good risk to reward ratio because probably in reality, any of those previous trades had that equal opportunity of being a bigger loss. So due to the price and the spreads, the risk was higher and the upside profit, well, it was kind of limited. So luck ran out for me. I pushed my luck. I overstayed my welcome. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So we're going to start by looking at XHG, which was my biggest winner today. This is a low price stock. This is kind of one of those rare times where I'm trading something under $2 a share and it's my biggest winner. But this one was moving. So let's jump into the 10-second chart. So this morning, when this one first takes off, I jumped in it pretty quickly right here. It pops up on my scanner, squeezes up right here, and I jumped in at 125. Now, when I got in, there was like a 60,000 share seller that thinned out and it breaks and goes up to 138. And then it drops and another 60,000 share seller comes out at 25. So on that first trade, I made $80. It was a very small winner. It was more or less a break-even trade. I mean, it was a winner, but anyways, a small winner. And the stock sells off, and I just thought, man, if that many sellers were already lined up, like that is not good. And I was wondering, what's the catalyst with the stock? And I couldn't see a clear catalyst. I looked at the news. I didn't see any headlines on it, but I did see that it's a Chinese company. So I thought, all right, well, we know that sometimes these Chinese companies have shady stuff that goes on where the price kind of gets pushed higher and then you get a ton of selling. So as the morning goes on, this ended up rallying a bit, as you could see here, 145%. So it sells off basically back to under $1. Then it squeezes back up to $1.40. Dips back down to $1, comes back up to $1.30, pulls back up to $1.60, pulls back. And right here, that's where I got interested. So why did I get interested there? I wasn't interested here because the price is still kind of cheap. And, well, we had the pre-market high, which was this rejection. It's just not really the price range where I'd be a buyer. If it had held right here, maybe I would have taken that trade, but ended up coming back down and selling off. Goes below Vwap, ends up doing an inverted head and shoulders pattern here, gets back above Vwap, pulls back, and that wouldn't have been a terrible spot, but that pullback is again underneath the highs, which were characterized by these topping tails. So there's a high likelihood that it comes up and rejects. Now it ends up going up, holding, pushing higher, coming back down below this sort of resistance level, back above it, back to it, and then right here it comes back up. And in this consolidation, we're hanging out right under high a day. And so I looked at this and I said, I think this is worth a stab. And so I took my first trade in this area right here at $1.69. So I got in at $1.69. I was looking for the break of $1.70. It ends up punching through 75 to 80. I added 85. It goes to 90. It goes up to 95. It ends up hitting a high of $2.08, which really is a solid move. This is impressive. Now, it drops back down pretty hard on this candle right here. Ends up having a high volume rejection, and that marks the top of the move. That's the end of the front side, and now we're on the back side coming back down. So in total, I was up about $1,000 on this stock, locked up $946 total profit. You can see my P&L here today. Didn't hit the daily goal today. trading with smaller size would have made it a little harder to hit the daily goal, but I actually peaked at $2,250, and I gave back some of that profit on costs. We'll go over those trades in a minute. Okay, so let's go back here to the first trade of the day, and that's going to be on costs. So first trade of the day was at about 8:23, and that was, let's see, right in here. So on my first trade of the day, I got in costs as it's pulling away right here, and I got in at $14.30 with a starter position. I added at $14.57 and $14.65. There was a 10,000 share buyer at $14.50. So I thought, as long as that buyer's there, I'm going to hold this. It ends up going to $14.69. I'm up about $400 unrealized. I don't lock it up. I'm looking to see if we can squeeze through that level back up to 15. We end up dropping back down to $14.50, and I sold right at that level and was out of the trade. So ended up losing $171 on the first trade on costs. It ends up pulling back here, coming back up. I didn't take this trade. It drops back down. Just this whole area was very choppy, as you could see. But at the open, we ended up getting a really nice squeeze. So first we get a dip and a rip right here, a red to green move at the open, squeeze into a halt, and then on resumption, I take the dip, I catch the rip up to $18.50, and boom, I'm up $2,200 on the day right there. Then we dump. It sells off, and I bought small size going into the halt down. I thought it was going to false halt. It opens lower. I average down on the position. It comes back up. I sell that for a small loss, $200 loss. Then it ends up pushing higher. As it comes back up right here, I got in at 17 and caught this big red candle right here all the way down to 16. Lost $1 a share on that 1 minute candle, just like instant rejection. And I went from being up about $1,200 on that stock to down $1,000 on it. And that was so my P&L today, I started, of course, at 0, made my way up to 400, and then 700, then 1,000, 1,500, 1,800, up to 2,500 or 2,250 very quickly. And then on this candle, boom, I was up only $115 after that. And at that point, I was like, you know what? All right, you just went back to flat. I don't want to go red. So maybe this is the spot right here just to walk away. And it was at that point that I got the trades on XHG, which added about $850 of profit. I then took a loss on AMVS, and that's why I'm finishing not at 1,000, but at 900 or 650, 41, whatever. Well, I guess I already showed you the XHG, but I'll show you AMVS. So AMVS starts to pull away right here. It squeezes up to a high of 1060, pulls back. I got a trade on it earlier in this area, and then it comes back up here, breaks 10, goes all the way up to 11. You can see pulls back, pushes higher. And I got in right in here as it broke this level. I got in at 1065, adding at 1085 for the break of 11. I get in averaged a little too high, and on this candle it dumps back down to 1020, and I lost, $300 or whatever. So at that point I was like, you know what? Let's get real here. You're kind of moving in the wrong direction. The P&L started, peaked at 2,200, dropped all the way down, made my way back to 1,000, and now I'm here. This is going in the wrong direction. I mean, I'm just one nasty loss away from being in the red. And I just felt like it really wasn't worth pushing. So I'm a little disappointed. AMVS did end up pushing higher through 11, but then again, a big rejection candle. BENF, this one also ends up hitting the scanners, puts in a really nice move, halts up, opens, dip and rip into a second halt, and then hits 480, flushes here down to 360, bounces back up to make a new high by like 2 cents, comes all the way back down. Wow, talk about chop. So we like volatility, but we also have to manage risk. And I think the challenge today was that I was concerned it would be hard to manage risk on the Friday, after a market holiday. So the 5th of July, tough day to manage risk. Costs, I was hoping that we would break through yesterday's high. We came to a double top against Wednesday's high. So you could see here, Wednesday's high was like 1873. We came darn close, but then we rejected off that level. Now, I will say that Cost has a lot going for it. It's not a company that has a history of doing offerings or selling shares, but at the same time, the hype from Reddit may be over. We're getting a little tweezer top here, so probably going to see a bit of a pullback. And I don't know. I don't think the company is in a position to put out a news catalyst strong enough to send the stock higher. I think, this move was from Reddit, which is fine, but I don't know that it's going to be able to hold these levels. So probably, did well on Wednesday, was up $8,000. Today, well, wasn't able to kind of get myself positioned strong pre-market here in this range. There was just too much volatility, and I just was, I was just being a little gun shy. And I think that was the right move. Like I said, Friday after the 4th of July, not the type of day you want to take a lot of risk and end up going down, and hitting max loss. And that could easily have happened today. If I'd been trading everything with big size, I probably would have had this loss on cost would have definitely been worse. Same with AMVS. The thing is, you'd say, well, if you're trading with 10 times the size, shouldn't you just be up 6,400, right? You'd still be green. But no, not exactly, because of slippage. It's a lot easier to fill 2,000 shares than it is to fill 20,000. So filling 20,000 shares on the bid when the price is dropping, you could get $4,000 of slippage, right? You might not have any of that slippage with small size. So that can significantly skew how the profits scale as you increase. Now, you can certainly increase from 10 shares, to 100 to 1,000 and see, I think, fairly linear improvements. But when you get up to 8,000, 10,000, 20,000 shares, what you're going to see happening is you start to get diminishing returns. And you could actually get to a place where you see declining returns at certain share size, because it's just not realistic to move in and out of positions with 50,000 shares or 100,000 shares on quick trades. So anyways, that's it for me for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this recap and had a good week. Make sure you check out the 4th of July sales that we've got going on over at Warrior Trading. Those are still going on through the weekend, so make sure you check them out, and I'll see you guys back at it bright and early on Monday morning. All right, I'll see you guys on Monday.